What's going on, generative art fans? Mike Elf coming to you from the studio, and I wanted to make a video today highlighting the newest generative art algorithm that has taken the NFT and digital art space by storm. Yes, we're talking about QQL. QQL.art is the website put together by Tyler Hobbs, the generative art goat, as well as Dandelion, Wist, who the two of them came together to create this algorithm that has taken over Twitter. If you've been on Twitter in the NFT space, if you have been in Discord, you have definitely seen QQL outputs. They are circle-based, and they've come together to create absolutely incredible looking generative art pieces, as well as landscapes, even people, faces, etc. So what I figured I'd do today is go over a little bit about QQL, and if you've never done it before, or if you're interested in it, how does it work? We'll go through the interface a little bit, and then I thought we'd do a live reveal. I pre-ran 400 pieces. The algorithm only lets you run 400 at a time, so I figured we'd look at them together and see if we pulled out any grails. We're grail hunters and we're QQLing. Let's check it out. All right, so what are we looking at here? We are looking at QQL.art/create. So if you go to the website, QQL.art, see up here, you're gonna come to this page. Click create, you gotta connect your wallet. Now, you can run this algorithm all day, every day. There's 400 max mint, max generations. It will only let you create 400, at which point then you have to cycle through and erase, favorite, etc. You'll see the artwork says here, your rendered artwork will appear here. And then we have the controls here. So, generate 1, generate 10, generate 100. Palette, these are the different color schemes: Austin, Berlin, Edinburgh, Fidenza, Miami, Seattle, and Seoul. You can go to random, and we have a color mode: simple, stacked, or zebra. Color variety: low, medium, and high. These buttons here will give you randoms. As we work our way down, we have the structure: orbital, formation, or shadows. And then direction. So we have horizontal, diagonal, vertical, and random linear. You also have explosive, spiral, circular, or random radial. Turbulence: none, low, high. That means the way in which the structure is formulated. And then the margins: no margins, crisp, or wide. Basically creating almost like a frame within the art piece. We come up here to the ring size. This is the heart of the generator. This is how the algorithm is going to put the circles together. So small ring size, medium ring size, large ring size. How these work with the size variety and the spacing. So you'll see here, kind of gives you a little bit of an idea of what you could get with the different spacing, variety, and ring size. See how things change there a little bit. Also, we have rings and ring thickness. So basically what we're talking about here is the types of circles or rings that you're going to get. Thin, thick, mixed, 1 ring, 3 rings, 7 rings. Okay, so that's all of that. Oftentimes I like to just sort of pop on, give everything random, even colors, and just run it at random. For 400. Now what I did below is I did not do that. What we have below is works generated from a specific trait pattern. So what's interesting, and before we look at the traits that are for today, or the cycles that we did today, if you find something that you like, for instance this one, create with these traits. If you hit that, the algorithm, the control panel, will set up in the pattern that you like, and then you can run it with those controls. So it's very interesting. If you happen to see something you like, you may want to try to hone it down a little bit. That's the way to do it. Okay? So anyway, let's get into today's 400, the Q. Let's get started. We're going to roll through. What am I looking for? Not exactly sure. Looking for something unique, something different. I've looked at a ton of these QQL outputs, a ton of these seeds. A lot of them look very similar. Oftentimes, let's say I run 400 outputs times, I don't know, we'll do it 5 or 6 times in a day. Let's just say 2,000 outputs. You may get one that's incredible. Now I happen to favorite sort of a lot of stuff because I like sort of different things, but the actual GRAIL ones, the ones that are sort of like just wild looking, are few and far between. But when they pop up, they're pretty awesome. All right. So I tend to scan a little bit, scan over different ones. I like stuff that looks like this. As you can see, these outputs had some large rings. Sometimes you'll get some faces with the large rings. What's interesting, right, is just, so if you've never seen how this works before, this is the color palette. Austin, right? It's pretty colorful. This top row, this middle row, and this row here look very different, but they're all coming from the same color palette. So really the color palette does not pigeonhole you as much as you might think. I actually kind of like that one, but not enough to favorite it. Big circular ring there. Hidden face, too dark. Big ring. I like this, but I don't like that around it. That's nice. I'm going to favorite that one. We'll come back to it, look at it. These are great. Again, I've been a little bit heavy-handed on the favorite button, so I'm really trying to be selective. The more you look at these, the more you realize how similar some of them look. That's nice. Start looking at these things, you start thinking, is there going to be anything that pops out? And sometimes out of 400, there's not any. But when that one jumps out at you, it's an experience, I'll tell you that much. Sometimes I like to watch these come through live, but I tend to, nice colors on that, I tend to kind of like letting it run and then coming back to it. It's a little more, I tend to sort of cycle through them a little bit faster. As you can see, for instance, we mentioned before about crisp edges or straight up to the edge. So this, I believe, is going to be crisp edge borders, which kind of lets it run right up to the border. If you do no border, then things can sort of roll over, which gets an interesting effect as well. Kind of like that one. You might say, well, what am I looking for? And the answer is, I'm not exactly sure. Digging for gold, is what I would say. Digital gold. I'm not the biggest fan of the big rings, but I've run so many with small rings that I feel like I was getting a little jaded. That's nice. Come back to that. I just, as a side note, happen to love how these dark sort of colors come together. I don't love the image, but I love the colors. Something about that too. Let's favorite that one. As you start looking at these, you start to see, you can kind of know like the ones that are unique. Again, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. That's nice. You'll start seeing some ones you really like, 3/4 of it, and then you see, oh, I wish those weren't there. You might watch this video and think, oh my God, he's passed so many that I love. It's possible. My standards have gotten higher for what I think is at least visually appealing. All right, that's the end. So we're going to select all, deleting 397. Let's come back to the ones that we just favorited. Let's start here. All right, a couple things I love about this. First of all, we're getting a nice little light shadow here up at this upper left, almost like a glare, sun glare. The colors are very monotone. It's somewhat suggestive of layers, a little bit of depth there. But it's just lacking something. I like this one for this little wisp. Besides that, not really. I want to come back to these. This is nice, with the singular ring there in the middle. Everything else is a little boring. So, to be honest with you, none of them. So now you can see here some of the stuff that I've favorited in the past. I tend to really like stuff like this. So maybe we'll create with these next. Random colors. Hit generate. And we'll come back and check them out later. Part 2 coming up soon.